Have you ever watched a trading opportunity slip through your fingers because you jumped in too soon, only to see the real move happen after you've already lost your position? Or perhaps you felt that gnawing anxiety as you watch the market tick by tick, your finger hovering over the execute button, wondering if now is finally the moment to strike. What if I told you that the most powerful trading edge isn't found in complex indicators or advanced algorithms, but in something much more fundamental, something that Richard Wyckoff, one of the greatest market minds of all time, called the rarest commodity on Wall Street? Has this ever happened to you? You spot what looks like the perfect setup. Your analysis is solid. All signs point to a major move brewing, so you dive in, confident in your technical prowess, only to watch in frustration as your position goes nowhere, or worse, against you. Then, just as your patience wears thin and you exit in defeat, the market finally makes the exact move you predicted, without you on board. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. According to Wyckoff, this painful scenario plays out countless times every trading day, across markets. Worldwide. Why? Because patience, true market patience, cannot be bought on margin or learned from textbooks. It's a quality that separates the amateur from the professional, the consistent winner from the perpetual loser. The market rewards those who can wait and punishes those who can't, Wyckoff observed after decades of market mastery. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to discover might surprise you. It certainly surprised me when I first encountered Wyckoff's principles years ago. Think about it. In what other profession is doing nothing sometimes the most profitable action? In trading, the hardest skill to master isn't entry techniques or exit strategies. It's the disciplined restraint to wait for the perfect moment when everything aligns. That moment when the smart money has completed its accumulation, when the market has cleared out the weak hands, when the path of least resistance becomes unmistakably clear. Wyckoff witnessed this pattern repeatedly throughout his legendary career. Traders would rush into positions the moment they sensed a move coming, acting purely on instinct rather than discipline. Their capital becomes tied up in premature trades, their emotional state hostage to every market fluctuation. And when the genuine opportunity finally presents itself, that explosive move they originally anticipated, they're already financially and mentally exhausted. What's truly fascinating about Wyckoff's approach is how he redefines patience not as passive waiting, but as active preparation. The patient trader isn't doing nothing. They're meticulously reading market structure, identifying levels of significance, tracking volume patterns, and most importantly, preserving both capital and psychological energy for the moment when everything comes together. The question isn't whether you can predict market direction. Many traders can do that reasonably well. The real question, the one that determines your ultimate success or failure, is whether you can time your entry with precision, whether you can resist the siren call of action for action's sake. And that's where we begin to uncover the deeper psychological aspects of trading that separate the amateur from the professional. This transformation in perspective is what Wyckoff discovered during his journey through the markets. If these trading insights have given you a new perspective on patience and market timing, hit that subscribe button to join our community of disciplined traders. I share powerful market wisdom that goes beyond technical analysis and into the psychology that truly drives success. Let me paint you a more vivid picture of what true trading patience actually looks like. Contrary to popular belief, patience isn't simply sitting on your hands doing nothing. The hidden truth is that patience is an active state of mind, a deliberate choice to wait for the precise moment when action becomes meaningful and necessary. Wyckoff would often spend hours in his office watching the ticker with absolute calm, his pencil still, his mind clear and focused. While others around him frantically reacted to every price movement, he maintained a measured restraint that few could understand. The market would hum with false excitement, he noted. Prices would jump, retrace, spike again. The inexperienced traders would call that opportunity. I called it noise. This profound insight reveals the mindset shift required to elevate your trading decisions to a professional level. Behind the scenes of every major market move lies a period of accumulation or distribution that most traders completely miss because they're too busy chasing the obvious. These quiet periods between significant movements are where the real story unfolds, where smart money quietly positions itself before the masses catch on. During these seemingly inactive phases, powerful forces beneath the surface are preparing for momentous shifts that will eventually manifest as trends the public can recognize. The most impactful revelation in Wyckoff's philosophy is understanding that substantial, lasting profits aren't made in the frenzy of market action, but in recognizing the significance of what appears to be inaction. This requires a fundamental rewiring of how you perceive market opportunity, seeing potential in patience rather than constant activity. What drives this compulsion to act prematurely? At its core, impatience in trading stems from insecurity, a lack of trust in your own analysis and process. When you don't fully believe in your methodology, you feel an overwhelming urge to prove yourself through action, any action, even when the optimal move is to wait. This psychological vulnerability is what market makers and institutions exploit relentlessly. The journey to mastering patience begins with recognizing that the market operates on its own timeline, not yours. Your desires, financial needs, and emotional states are irrelevant to price movement. The market will do what it's going to do regardless of your participation. Once you internalize this truth, you can begin developing the discipline to align your actions with the market's natural rhythm rather than imposing your will upon it. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how patience transforms not just your trading results, but your entire relationship with the market. The way you position yourself during periods of apparent inactivity determines whether you'll be prepared when genuine opportunity emerges or whether you'll be caught in the emotional crossfire that consumes most traders. If any of this resonates with your trading experience, write in the comments. Patience is my edge, so we can see who among us is committed to developing this rare market skill. Let me share with you a powerful metaphor that forever changed my approach to the markets. Wyckoff didn't see the patient trader as a passive observer, quite the opposite. He likened the disciplined trader to a predator in tall grass, completely motionless, breathing in perfect rhythm with the market, calibrating every sense to the environment around them, waiting for that moment of perfect alignment before striking with decisive conviction. This primal imagery reveals the true blueprint of trading mastery. It's not about constant movement or perpetual activity. It's about strategic positioning, about understanding the choreography of price action so intimately that you know exactly when to remain still and when to pounce. This approach transforms trading from reactive gambling, where you're constantly responding to what just happened, into a deliberate art form where you're positioned for what's about to happen. The predator doesn't chase. It doesn't waste energy on false starts or premature movements. Every action is economical, purposeful, timed with precision. The artistry lies not in how many trades you take, but in the quality and timing of the few that truly matter. When you embrace this mindset shift, trading becomes less about the quantity of your actions and more about their strategic quality. Wyckoff learned this wisdom through painful personal experience, not theoretical study. In his formative years as a trader, he frequently found himself in a peculiar predicament, being directionally correct but chronologically wrong. His market analysis was sound, his directional bias accurate, but his timing was premature. He'd enter positions too early, subjecting himself to unnecessary drawdowns that drained both his capital and his emotional resilience. The pain of watching a correct idea lose money is worse than being wrong entirely, he confessed after years of reflection. It teaches you that being right too soon is just as costly as being wrong. This revelation illuminates one of the most common yet unaddressed traps in trading: the assumption that being right about direction is sufficient for profitability. The illumination that comes from this realization is transformative. It shifts your attention from the binary question of will the market go up or down to the more sophisticated question of when is the optimal moment to express my directional bias. This subtle yet profound recalibration of focus is what separates consistently profitable traders from those who continually struggle despite having good analytical skills. Patience serves as the critical bridge between analysis and execution. It allows time to confirm your conviction, to let the market show its hand before you play yours. It creates space for your thesis to mature, for supporting evidence to accumulate, for the odds to shift more decisively in your favor before you commit your capital. I often reflect on how this principle extends beyond trading into countless other domains, where timing and restraint determine outcomes. Whether in business negotiations, strategic investments, or even personal relationships, the wisdom of allowing situations to develop fully before taking decisive action offers a universal advantage that few have the discipline to employ. The deeper work of trading involves developing an intimate relationship with time itself, understanding that markets have their own natural cadence that cannot be rushed or manipulated to suit your desires. If you find yourself wrestling with the timing aspect of your trading, type "mastering timing" in the comments below to remind yourself of this critical dimension of market success. There's a subtle revelation that Wyckoff discovered through years of market immersion, something that fundamentally altered his perception. The tape tells all, goes the old Wall Street adage. But what Wyckoff understood was that the market doesn't announce its intentions with dramatic flourishes or obvious signals. Instead, it communicates through whispers that only the most attentive and patient traders can detect. When Wyckoff sat for hours studying the ticker tape, he wasn't simply looking for price movement or waiting for dramatic breakouts. He was listening for something far more nuanced: the underlying rhythm of the market. This deeper awareness represents a profound evolution in trading consciousness. Every surge, every pause, every tested price level carries meaning and intention. But these messages remain invisible to those who lack the patience to truly listen. "I wasn't looking for movement," he once explained. "I was listening for rhythm. Every price action had a tone, a meaning." This sensory approach to market analysis transforms trading from a purely analytical exercise into something closer to an art form, where intuition and pattern recognition become as important as technical indicators or fundamental data. The true awakening comes when you realize that the market is constantly communicating, not through words, but through the language of price, volume, and time. But just like learning any foreign language, you must immerse yourself in it with patient attention before the seemingly random noise begins to form coherent patterns. Without this patience, you're not trading. You're simply gambling against forces you don't understand. And here lies one of the most profound ironies in trading that Wyckoff discovered. Most traders don't fail because they lack strategy or technical knowledge. They fail because they lack stillness. In a profession where calculated inaction is often the optimal choice, the psychological compulsion to always be doing something becomes the greatest liability. The uncomfortable truth is that what many traders interpret as discipline, being constantly active in the market, always having positions, always in the game, is actually addiction disguised as ambition. It's the addiction to action, to the dopamine hit that comes from taking trades, regardless of their quality or timing. This compulsion creates a vicious cycle where activity itself becomes the goal rather than profitable activity. Wyckoff's journey led him to a counterintuitive realization. The best trade you'll ever make is often the one you don't take. This wisdom runs contrary to everything the modern trading culture promotes. He confessed to having made millions by waiting and lost millions by rushing, a testament to the asymmetric rewards of patience versus impulsive action. What would happen if you shifted your definition of trading skill from how well you can spot opportunities to how effectively you can evaluate and prioritize them? What if your trading journal tracked not just the trades you took, but the low probability setups you successfully avoided? This perspective shift illuminates the hidden dimension of trading mastery that few ever discover. The patient trader develops a unique relationship with opportunity, understanding that genuine trading edges don't require constant exploitation. If you're resonating with this deeper perspective on trading psychology, write "Stillness is strength" in the comments to acknowledge this profound but often overlooked trading truth. Let me share with you a pivotal moment from Wyckoff's trading journey that epitomizes the profound power of patience. He once encountered what he later described as the ultimate test of his trading discipline, a scenario that would have broken most traders, but instead became a cornerstone of his legacy. For more timeless trading wisdom like this, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm dedicated to uncovering these deeper market truths that can transform not just your trading results, but your entire relationship with the markets. During a prolonged consolidation phase in the market, public sentiment had grown increasingly restless and volatile. Financial newspapers were publishing contradictory predictions daily. Market analysts were offering conflicting opinions at every turn. The cacophony of market noise had become almost unbearable, creating an atmosphere where decisive action seemed impossible. It was during one of those long consolidations when the public grew restless, Wyckoff recounted. The newspapers were predicting wild swings, analysts were offering conflicting opinions, and the noise was unbearable. But beneath this surface chaos, something profound was happening. While others were distracted by the day-to-day fluctuations, Wyckoff had done his homework. His preparation had allowed him to detect something that others couldn't see, a classic accumulation pattern forming quietly beneath the choppy price action, suggesting that institutional investors were steadily positioning themselves for a major move. So what did he do with this insight? He waited, not for minutes or hours, but for weeks. Days turned into weeks as he ignored the chatter and remained focused on the chart patterns, watching with disciplined attention as the accumulation continued unnoticed by the majority of market participants. The psychological fortitude required for this level of patience represents a rare form of inner strength. Most traders would have abandoned their thesis or second-guessed their analysis after just a few days without confirmation. But Wyckoff understood the hidden truth, that the most powerful market moves often require the longest periods of preparation. When the breakout finally came, it was explosive, so obvious in hindsight that everyone claimed they had seen it coming. But they hadn't. They were too busy chasing the shadows of yesterday's moves, reacting to news headlines rather than reading the market's underlying structure. This revelation illuminates a crucial distinction in trading psychology. Patience isn't glamorous. It doesn't provide the adrenaline rush of quick wins or the dopamine hit of constant action. Instead, it offers something infinitely more valuable: consistency. While the impatient trader experiences wild swings of emotion and account balance, the patient trader follows a steadier trajectory toward long-term success. The patient trader can sleep at night, Wyckoff observed, because he knows he's not forcing trades out of boredom or fear. This emotional equilibrium becomes a sustainable foundation for trading longevity, something few achieve in this profession. When your actions align with the natural rhythm of price rather than your emotional impulses, trading transforms from a stressful endeavor into a harmonious practice. The enlightenment that comes with this approach isn't just about making money. It's about discovering a state of alignment where your trading decisions flow from clear perception rather than emotional reactivity. You begin to sense the market's intentions rather than imposing your desires upon it. The pursuit of consistency gradually replaces the addiction to excitement, marking a pivotal milestone in a trader's evolution. What spiritual parallels might we find in this trading wisdom? If you've discovered that pursuing the quiet path of consistency over the exciting route of constant action has transformed your trading, type "consistency is king" in the comments below. Let me reveal something that few trading mentors have the courage to tell you. Something Wyckoff discovered that completely reframes how we think about trading challenges. Contrary to conventional wisdom, the hardest part of trading isn't taking losses. It's not managing risk. It's not even finding good setups. The real test, the one that most traders repeatedly fail, is doing nothing. When you're flat, your mind plays tricks on you, Wyckoff observed from his years of market warfare. You question your analysis, you watch others make moves and feel like you're missing out. This psychological battle that erupts in the absence of action exposes our deepest insecurities as traders. The void created by inactivity becomes filled with doubt, second-guessing, and the mounting pressure to participate. This internal struggle represents the ultimate battleground where trading psychology is won or lost. When you have no positions, when your capital isn't at risk, when you're simply observing, that's precisely when your mind becomes most vulnerable to the illusions that the market continuously projects. The fear of missing out becomes almost physically painful, driving many traders to abandon their discipline and chase suboptimal opportunities. Wyckoff's wisdom cuts through this illusion with surgical precision. Markets aren't generous. They're cunning. They lure the impatient with small, quick profits only to take it all back with interest. This revelation illuminates the market's psychological trap. Its tendency to reward poor decisions just frequently enough to reinforce bad habits, while punishing good decisions just often enough to make you doubt your process. The enlightenment comes when you recognize that patience isn't just a virtue in trading, it's a strategic position. Every master trader develops a system that defines not only when to act, but equally important, when to wait. This paradigm shift transforms how you view market participation. Staying out of the market according to your system isn't inaction. It's a deliberate position of discipline. If your system tells you to stay out, that's a position too, Wyckoff emphasized. Yet most traders can't embrace this truth. They equate waiting with weakness, with missing opportunity, with being left behind. The shadow side of this misconception reveals itself when we observe that in markets waiting isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the strategic power to preserve capital and mental energy for only the highest probability opportunities. When impatience takes hold, a trader stops thinking and starts reacting. This transition from deliberate decision-making to reflexive response marks the death of precision. The impulsive trader becomes predictable, exploitable, exactly the type of market participant that institutions count on to provide liquidity for their larger, more patient positions. The spiritual journey of trading involves recognizing that sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all. Just as in martial arts, where stillness precedes explosive action. In trading, strategic inaction creates the foundation for decisive moves when genuine opportunity presents itself. This wisdom extends beyond trading into many life domains, relationships, career decisions, investments, where the courage to wait often yields greater results than premature action. The transcendence of this principle comes when you no longer see the market as something to conquer or beat, but as something to harmonize with, moving when it provides opportunity, standing still when it doesn't. This rhythmic dance with the market can only be performed by those who have mastered their internal impulses and learned to value patience as much as action. If you've ever experienced that moment of clarity where not taking a trade felt more powerful than taking one, type strategic inaction in the comments. I'd love to hear about your experience with this counterintuitive aspect of trading mastery. Wyckoff offers us a powerful metaphor that crystallizes the essence of patient trading, one that completely reframed my approach to the markets. Think of it this way, he suggested. A sniper doesn't shoot at movement, he shoots at the right target at the right time. This military analogy cuts to the heart of trading. Discipline in a way few other comparisons can. Consider the sniper's methodology, the hours of reconnaissance, the careful positioning, the environmental awareness, the breath control, the absolute focus. When the trigger is finally pulled, it represents just a fraction of the overall process. The real craft lies in the preparation and the waiting. This perspective transforms how we conceptualize trading skill. The execution of a trade, the moment you click buy or sell, is merely the culmination of a much longer process, not the process itself. There were times I'd wait for months for a single perfect setup, Wyckoff revealed about his own practice. But crucially, this waiting wasn't passive or empty. It was filled with purposeful preparation, analyzing sectors, tracking leading stocks, noting subtle shifts in volume and sentiment, studying the interplay of market forces. The revelation here is profound. The more you wait with purpose, the clearer your market vision becomes. When the moment to act finally arrives, execution becomes almost effortless because the extensive groundwork has already been laid. This is the paradox of patience that few traders ever grasp. What feels like doing nothing is actually the most productive part of the trading process. You're sharpening your edge while others are dulling theirs through overtrading. But here's where many traders encounter a roadblock on their journey toward mastery. They understand the concept of patience intellectually, but struggle to implement it because they lack the underlying structure that makes patient waiting productive rather than aimless. Wyckoff identified this critical missing element in most traders' approach. Many traders lose patience because they don't have a plan, he observed. Without structure, waiting feels like drifting. This insight illuminates why patience is so difficult to maintain. Without a framework of specific criteria that define what you're waiting for, patience degenerates into procrastination or aimless inaction. The transformation comes when you develop clearly defined criteria for entry, confirmation, and execution. When you know precisely what you're waiting for, when you've established concrete parameters that must be satisfied before you act, time becomes your ally rather than your enemy. Each passing hour or day without action isn't a missed opportunity, but rather another period of data collection, another confirmation that your strict criteria have not yet been met. This structured approach to patience represents trading power in its purest form. Behind the scenes of every successful trader's methodology lies this architectural framework that supports their patience. The blueprint isn't about indicators or entry signals alone. It's about creating a decision-making structure so robust that it naturally filters out low-probability opportunities and highlights high-probability ones. When this framework is firmly in place, patience becomes less of a psychological challenge and more of a natural byproduct of your trading system. The enlightenment arrives when you recognize that patience without direction is just hesitation, but patience guided by a clear framework becomes a formidable edge in markets where most participants act on impulse rather than plan. If this distinction between structured waiting and aimless hesitation has sparked a revelation in your trading approach, type strategic framework in the comments. I'm curious how many of you have experienced this critical shift. Now I want to share perhaps the most profound revelation in Wyckoff's philosophy, one that completely reframes what the market is actually testing when it challenges you. Most traders believe the market tests their strategy or their analytical skills. But Wyckoff discovered something far deeper. The market doesn't test your strategy as much as it tests your character. This spiritual dimension of trading represents a fundamental shift in perspective. The market will methodically probe your psychological vulnerabilities, tempting you to act before you should, shaking your confidence when you need it most, and most insidiously, rewarding your worst habits just enough to keep you addicted to them. It's as if the market possesses an almost sentient ability to identify and exploit your unique character flaws. Consider this hidden truth. A trading strategy that works beautifully for one trader might fail completely for another. Why? Not because the strategy itself changed, but because the second trader lacks the character traits necessary to execute it properly. Patience, discipline, emotional equilibrium. These qualities of character ultimately determine success or failure more than the technical aspects of your approach. Wyckoff believed that the only defense against this relentless character test is patience anchored in unwavering principle. Without this moral foundation, this internal compass that keeps you aligned with your trading values, regardless of market conditions, you'll continuously be swayed by the market's psychological manipulations. The transformation happens when you stop seeing the market as something to outsmart and start seeing it as something that reveals who you truly are. The impatient trader keeps feeding the market his capital, Wyckoff observed. The patient trader waits until the market feeds him opportunity. This profound inversion of the typical trader-market relationship illuminates the fundamental choice we face. Will you continuously sacrifice your capital at the altar of action? Or will you position yourself to receive opportunity on your terms? Behind this perspective lies a deeper wisdom that extends beyond trading into life itself. Every significant endeavor follows natural cycles of expansion and contraction, action and rest. Those who attempt to force these cycles inevitably exhaust themselves fighting against natural rhythms. Those who align themselves with these cycles conserve energy and amplify their impact by acting in harmony with larger forces. Wyckoff offered another powerful metaphor that completely changed my relationship with time in the markets. Every market move is a story, he explained. Some stories take minutes, others take months to unfold. This narrative framework helps us understand why patience is so crucial. Your job as a trader isn't to rush the storyline or skip ahead to the conclusion. It's to understand where you are in the unfolding narrative and act accordingly. If the market hasn't yet reached the chapter where your participation makes sense, patience keeps you from interrupting the story mid-sentence. The impatient trader interrupts the story mid-sentence, Wyckoff warned, and then wonders why the ending makes no sense. This insight reveals why timing isn't just about when you enter. It's about respecting the natural development of price action and allowing it to mature fully before engaging. The journey toward trading mastery ultimately isn't about who can move the fastest. It's about who can wait the longest without losing conviction in their analysis. When your emotions scream, "Do something," but your logic whispers, "Wait," the disciplined trader always sides with the whisper. If you've experienced this internal battle between emotional urgency and logical restraint, write "Master the Whisper" in the comments. I'm curious how many of you recognize this critical turning point in your trading journey. As we reach this moment of reflection, I'm reminded of something Wyckoff once said about the rare traders who truly master patience. They possess a quiet confidence that can't be shaken by market noise. That's the transformation I hope this conversation has sparked for you today. Not just information about trading, but a deeper understanding of yourself as a trader. If you found value in these insights on trading patience, consider joining our community of thoughtful traders by subscribing to the channel. Each week, we explore these profound market principles that transcend technical analysis and dive into the psychological dimensions that ultimately determine success or failure. The journey toward trading mastery is one that's best walked with others who understand its challenges. If these ideas resonated with you, if you recognized yourself in some of these struggles with patience, leave a comment saying, "Patience is my edge, so I know who's walking this path alongside me." And if you found this perspective helpful, a simple like lets me know these deeper trading truths are worth exploring further. It helps this message reach other traders who might be struggling with the same challenges you've faced. There's a video right here about how Wyckoff's accumulation patterns reveal institutional patience in action. A perfect complement to what we've discussed today. Click and continue this exploration of market wisdom with me over there. Until next time, remember that in trading, as in life, the ability to wait for what truly matters is perhaps the rarest and most valuable skill you can develop.